All right, we're live. And welcome everybody to episode 30 of the Aiight. I think yeah, your headphones are kind of weird. But anyway, as Eli's trying to get his headphones straight, this is episode 30. And we are I'm coming live from you out of town. Um, and yeah. So oh, you're muted. This is like the weirdest. Oh, you're still muted.
All right, good. I'm good. You
Okay.
good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You're good now. What were you
Okay.
saying?
You said you're coming out of town. You're coming live from out of town,
Live
or
from out of town. Live from out of Philly. I'm in Delaware right now.
man, that is Philly. Like,
Nah. Nah. This be
like,
I. This is
like
this is
you,
not.
you can walk from Philly to Delaware. Are you kidding me?
This ain't Philly. This is like 2 hours away from Philly.
Yeah,
So
whatever,
this
man.
place be I. This is out of town. Some places in Philly. I mean, some places in Delaware maybe, but this be I. This is we're in Rehoboth Beach. We're 2 hours away. So, you know,
Rehoboth Beach.
yeah, it's
Nice.
supposed to be the alternative to the Jersey Shore.
So that's where the adults go.
Yeah, it's so far it's been like kind of old people. So I don't know if I'm feeling it.
Exactly.
I kind of prefer the
The
Jersey Shore
millennials.
so far. Yeah, people who are like not my parents, but you know,
You're hanging out on the beach with your parents. Are your parents there?
no, it's just me and Geneva and a couple of friends.
Nice.
But yeah, so it's
You
nice to
guys
get
are
away.
all vaccinated now, hanging out.
Yeah, yeah, all fully vaxxed, hanging out. You know, saw the CDC just had the mandate, or not the mandate, the I guess recommendation
Guidelines. Yeah.
guidelines. Right, right, right. Yeah. So, but people are still wearing masks inside and stuff, and some people outside. So not much has changed. I wonder. It's gonna be interesting to see, like, when people, like, if establishments will ever be like, yeah, you don't have to wear a mask. I mean, I know they are in Florida, but that's like a different situation I'm talking about. Like,
Well, well, I saw earlier today that Starbucks and folks like that are now saying, you know what, people can come in if they've been fully vaccinated, and they're basically just doing it on a honor system. They're not even like asking you for
hmm,
anything. So,
interesting.
so basically, they're putting the onus on you if you're not vaccinated to go get your thing. So if you're an anti-vaxxer, yeah, you can go out and go take risks. That's your problem. So
Yeah.
basically, that's maybe that is how it just needs to be moving forward. Because the whole thing about, I mean, I think there's been some misinformation around the whole vaccine thing, right? Like I read a bunch of headlines this past week about how some folks that were already vaccinated got COVID.
Okay.
But I feel like there's probably not enough that is being said around the idea that the fact that you're vaccinated doesn't mean that you don't get it. It just means that one, you are less likely to get it, but two, if you do get it, it isn't as serious. So, not to get too technical, some of the stuff I already talked about, like, the viral load is really what makes, the viral load is really what makes it that each person's the viral load that you have in your body is really what makes it serious, and you don't get as much. So if you are vaccinated, so there is still value to being vaccinated, even if you do eventually get it. But anyway, yeah,
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Can you still give it to people when you're vaccinated? Is that
I I think you can if you have it, but you are less likely to transmit it. Like, of course,
right?
if perhaps maybe if you are in super close proximity with like a significant other or something like that, perhaps. But because the virus that you have in your body is so low, you're just less likely to transmit it, or it isn't. You're not going to be able to transmit it as quickly or as effectively if if as you would, I mean, as otherwise. So yeah. But yeah, the headline that I saw basically was very sensational. Like, oh my God, like two New York Yankees coaches that were already vaccinated got COVID. It's like, yeah, but relax, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah, that's it's going to be interesting to see what how businesses respond. I did not know that about Starbucks, um, but that's yeah. I mean, as long as everyone has the opportunity to be vaccinated, at this point, it's like if you're that anti-vax, then take feel free to take the risk. I just don't want anyone who you know wants to be vaccinated who can't get it. But if you're just not gonna get vaxxed, have fun with that. I will get vaxxed, or I'm vaxxed, so are there any? How is it over there in Spain? Is that a problem over there? People not getting vaccinated?
No, 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 no. People, I mean, the real question is just, I believe here is just whether people have whether there is enough to go around or whether they can get people vaccinated quickly. But this whole anti-vaxxer thing is not really a thing here.
Yeah,
So
because they're rational. Yeah, that's.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, people do have Spanish people do protest, like they protest everything. I
Yeah.
mean, it's but vaccines is not one of the things. In fact, I went to a protest today.
Uh-oh.
It's, yeah,
You
I
didn't want to
did.
wear a mask?
Yeah, they were like, there was one of the squares very close to where I am. Um, uh, there were a bunch of like it was anti uh, genocide protest like against Israel. Um,
Okay.
yeah, the whole thing is happening between Israel and Palestine, and yeah, it was really interesting. Like you wouldn't think that that would be a thing that would happen here. At least I don't know why I I I I wasn't necessarily expecting a kind of protest, so to speak, but people were passionate, and it was like this has to stop, blah blah blah. But it was very peaceful. There were cops there, and I kept thinking like, are cops going to do something? The cops are just there, man, just chilling. Some of them were just like drinking water, just
Hanging out.
hanging
Yeah.
out, just chilling. It was nice weather, 90-degree weather, no humidity. It
Mm.
was
Yeah.
is yeah. We were just chilling. It was uneventful. They were singing, dancing, and well, it was a very serious. It was a serious protest. I saw some Antifa folks in there. I'm like, Antifa is here in España.
Oh, La Antifa.
I know,
LA
right?
Antifa over there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
I saw Antifa. I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah,
But
that's interesting. Yeah, I haven't, there's no protesting in Delaware, but there may be in Philly. That is not the spirit of this town. It is very
sleepy
relaxed,
town.
sleepy. Yeah, relaxed, sleepy. Um, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were some protests in Philly.
I mean, what would people
Um,
be protesting in Philly? Like, what is going on
well,
there?
no, I'm just saying, like, if there's
In
protests
general.
regarding Israel
Oh,
in
I
Spain,
see.
they're probably
Yeah.
doing it in Philly. Like, it's probably
Yeah.
just
I
it
think,
could be.
and I looked up, like, so it seems like there are a bunch of cities in Europe that, who are organizing this pro. Have you been kind of following that, by the way? Like,
Not really. I mean, I know it's happened. I've read like maybe an article and a half about it. But I honestly like don't. I never knew much about the conflict or the politics around it. I mean, I've heard
mhm.
things, but I've never really studied it. I mean, I see what people are posting, and I've read, like I said, like maybe an article or two about it. So I have a very not incredibly educated um, thoughts about it, but yeah, I haven't been following it as closely.
Yeah, it's really interesting because criticizing Israel in the US is a big no, no, it's like political suicide. Like at least it
Yeah.
used to be that way. Like
Hmm.
getting, I remember a couple of years ago. I don't know if you remember this when Obama was president, when he tried to, uh, I forgot specifically what he tried to do, but it was more like maybe he criticized Israel, or he wanted to have some policy just around all of the settlements and all of that stuff. And the Republicans in Congress went nuts that they actually invited Netanyahu to come speak at the House of Representatives to come give like an address the way a president would. Do you remember that at all?
It's
Probably not.
very vague, very vague.
Yeah,
But I think it
I
might have
mean,
mentioned that in his book, though.
he may have, and I just remember thinking at the time like, wow, this is a foreign leader that like these folks did this to a US president. I mean, it was humiliating. Like
Hmm.
I can't even imagine. Even when I wasn't Barack Obama, I felt humiliated by that act. It was just despicable on the part of
Yes,
I
it's
think
coming
it
back
was
to me now. I remember
yeah,
he
it was
mentioned
such
that.
a yeah, it was such a despicable act at it. And I remember just thinking at the time, I can't imagine how Obama felt because I think Netanyahu came to DC. Normally, when a foreign head of state is coming to America, or even when a foreign when head of states are visiting each other, going to each other's countries, there are all these protocols. But it wasn't the case here at all. It was just like Mitch McConnell and I believe John Bennett or whoever they were that was receiving, and all of those protocols were broken at a time. And of course, it was because of what. So anyway, but now you have more people in Congress that are kind of like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like yeah, like you can't start stuff. These folks respond, and then you use that as a reason to like blow them up. Like, and
Hmm.
even if you say Hamas is terrorist organization, or like nobody is. That's not the question. The question is this a disproportionate response?
Hmm.
And you you can't say somebody throws stones at you and then you're gonna like shoot them. Like that is not how this works. And just the greater Israeli policy in general around the two-state solution thing. I mean, Palestine still doesn't have they don't have a state. They've basically been in an open air prison for the past how many years? 50, 60 years? Like how long are they
Hmm.
supposed to wait? So this past week I saw like amazing speeches by Ilhan Omar, Rashida
Hmm.
Tlaib,
Yeah.
who is the only Palestinian American woman in Congress. I think she is the first.
Right.
AOC, a bunch of I think the person that had the best speech of them all was Ayanna Presley. Ayanna Presley, she is part of the squad, the Black Republic. I mean, the Black. She's
Congress.
from Boston.
Hmm.
She gave an impassioned, and I feel like as I watched, I saw the clips, and I'm like, she tied it to the Black struggle, right? Like how people will always talk about, oh, you have to do things peacefully. Like what the fuck are you supposed to do? Like, like you have your oppressor always dictating how you should protest, how you should do things, how you should do that. Basically, and she was chastising the U.S. government to be complicit, which I totally agree. But anyway, it's it is interesting that you have more and more people in Congress that are now like they're not missing words, they're using words like cleansing and ethnic cleansing and genocide. I mean,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean everybody see it for what it is. It's yeah.
Yeah.
I
Whew.
hope it goes beyond speeches though.
Yeah. It's such a hot button topic that I remember like Bernie Sanders mentioned something about kind of being in support of Palestine like 2016 or 15. And again, I'm pretty ignorant about it. I mean, I know that there's conflict there, but I remember I was talking to someone and they were just like, "Wow, I can't believe he said that." They were in support of Bernie, but they were just like, "That's so wild and bold to say that," um, because you know, going against Israel is, like you said, it's been political suicide for so long. Um, but yeah, from the memes I've seen and the articles I've seen, um, I can see how people are analogizing it to just struggles of oppressed people in other places, particularly the black struggle here. When I do read about it, it does remind me a lot of that. Um, but because the U.S. has, wants to keep friendly relations with Israel and politics, etc., it's just hard to, or it has been hard for people to step out against that or talk about it. Um, but yeah, man, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I can play a few clips of Ayanna Presley's speech.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
like I just
What state does she represent again?
she's from Massachusetts. She's from the Boston area.
Okay,
Cool.
let's see.
Can you hear?
No.
Okay. Okay. So I know why. I know exactly why.
Recognize the deep trauma and loss of life perpetuated by systems of oppression here in the United States and globally. Many times I've stood at this dais and affirmed that our destinies are tied. That was clear when protesters took to the streets in the face of police murders,
Can you hear?
seeking to build a
Yes.
nation where Black lives matter. That was clear when our democracy and our lives were put at risk by violent white supremacists who shattered glass and broke doors while wearing anti-Semitic phrases on their chests, carrying the Confederate flag, erecting a noose on the West Lawn. That was clear when students protesting to end poverty and oppression in the streets of Bogota were shot dead. That was clear when families kneeling during this holy month at the third holiest site in Islam were met with tear gas, rubber bullets, and hand grenades. Our destinies are tied. As a Black woman in America, I am no stranger to police brutality and state-sanctioned violence. We have been criminalized for the very way we show up in the world. Last summer, when Black Lives Matter protesters took to the streets to demand justice, they were met with force. They faced tear gas, rubber bullets, and a militarized police, just as our Palestinian brothers and sisters are facing in Jerusalem today. Palestinians are being told the same thing as Black folks in America. There is no acceptable form of resistance. We are bearing witness to egregious human rights violations. The pain, trauma, and terror that Palestinians are facing is not just the result of this week's escalation, but the consequence of years of military occupation. In Sheikh Jarrah, the Israeli government is violently dispossessing yet another neighborhood of Palestinian families from homes they have lived in for decades. We cannot stand idly and complicitly by and allow the occupation and oppression of the Palestinian people to continue. We cannot remain silent when our government sends 3.8 billion of military aid to Israel that is used to demolish Palestinian homes.
So yeah, I mean, and it went on, and I mean,
Right.
it was a short clip, but it was profound. I mean, she was very eloquent in her condemnation of of the Israeli government. That right there, you wouldn't have heard that 4 years ago in Congress. Like, that's
Right.
something that activists just like in the streets or whatnot will be talking about. But you gotta
Yeah.
give that to Ayanna Presley. And I love that name, Ayanna. That's such a
Yeah.
black name.
Ayanna. That reminds me of, have you seen the show Ayanla Fix My Life?
Ayanla, that's Ayanla fixed my life.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that how do you say her name? Ayanla, I guess.
Ayanla. The only
Ayanla.
reason I remember is because it's actually a Yoruba phrase or
Oh,
word.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah,
her parents were actually like woke or like new,
possibly. Who knows?
interesting.
Was that her real name, or was that even a name
She
that she
probably
gave
made
herself?
that up. No, I don't know. I actually have no idea. But the fact that it's a real Nigerian name makes me suspicious. I don't know if let's see.
Okay,
But
so she Iyanla Vanzon. She was
yeah.
born Rhonda Eva Harris. Man, girl,
Oh, she was born Wanda.
Rhonda,
Oh, Rhonda. That's even funnier.
Rhonda Harris.
That is hilarious.
My name is
Yeah, Rhonda
Iyanla.
Eva Harris. Get your black ass out of here. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Okay,
But
so
I feel like
see, if
you
you
would
read Wikipedia page, in 1983 she was given the title Iyanla, which means great mother. Yup, great
okay.
mother or big mama.
Got
Um,
you. Okay.
After being initiated and ordained as a priestess in the Yoruba tradition. So yeah, like
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
yeah.
That wasn't her name. I was like, there's no way. But I think you would like that show. So I'm not surprised you've seen it. Geneva and I will watch that show often.
You watch the show
Yeah,
often,
we
you
find
say?
it very entertaining and interesting.
I haven't really watched the show, but I just know of the show. Like I've
Yeah.
seen clips of it before. And yeah, it's
Yeah. I could I could do a fix my life marathon. I don't know why. I just can't look away. I find it entertaining, um, interesting. It's like basically you getting into other. It's like she's not licensed to be like a counselor, so it's really just someone who kind of just gets in people's business and tries to help, but she's not necessarily like licensed or qualified in any way. So it's almost like she's kind of like a matriarch, so to speak. She kind of just steps in, learns everybody's business, and then tries to fix it however she sees fit, you know? And we always say, really, she just wants to know everybody's business, which is like, this is the perfect thing to do to like just get into people's business. It's like basically she's like a nosy auntie, basically. And she just and she's created a show around that, and
yeah. Can you imagine?
it's fun to watch.
Yeah, she's getting paid to
It's really
just be what she would do for free.
exactly. She gets to just be in people's business and try to tell them basically give them advice what she thinks they should do.
It's like, yeah, yeah, you do this and you do that. Like she talks slowly and methodically.
Methodically, at some point she was like giving someone a healing bath or something, like she had somebody on the
That is hitting back.
or something like that. I can't. It was something weird, like something healing, where some woman was on the floor and like she had people like massaging her or something, or like candles were around. Like she just makes up stuff. Like it's really funny. Like, and I'm not saying maybe it helps them. I don't know, but it could also easily not. But I don't know. It's very entertaining though. It's very entertaining.
It is. I can't even laugh. Like it's like what Yalla fixed my life. Yeah,
Fix my life.
like
Yeah.
you're like a fixer upper, like an
Yeah.
apartment that needs to be. Yeah, but there are a lot of people with like that dealing with all sorts of baggage.
Right.
And the thing is, yeah, I mean the kinds of people that she talks to, you have to figure out a way to live off of that thing, right? Making it because those aren't people that would necessarily pay for that advice. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Hmm.
So you have to figure out a way to make it entertaining so that it is something you can do. Like I wonder if
Yes.
I'm sure there's a podcast somewhere where people are fixing people's lives. Like
Yeah. Actually, there is. Yeah. Like someone was telling me about a podcast where people just call in or they write in and they just tell them some random problem. Like, hey, this is going on in my life. I don't know what to do. Like, what do you think? And it could be super random. Like, there was this one guy who was saying he was dating a girl and like she smelled weird or something. And he didn't know how to tell her or to tell her or what he should do. It was just like dumb stuff. Like, I mean, it could be serious, but that's an example of something that's just kind of dumb. And they're like, dude, just either tell her or break up. It's not like they were married or anything. I don't even think they had been dating that long. But
There was actually a friend of mine some time ago who started dating someone and told me like he really likes her, blah 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 blah, but she has bad breath. How would he
Ah,
tell
yeah.
her. I mean, it's not like a deal breaker, but but
But it
but
kind of is.
it's
That's a deal breaker. If we're gonna stay together long term, that's unfortunate.
but the thing is, so if you're looking at it in the grand scheme of things, that is something that you can change. Like it's not like a behavioral thing where you're like, oh, this is how this person is. This is not compatible. So like, I think that's how he was looking at it. Like, okay, if I can just figure out a way to tell her, and just maybe she just needs to go to the dentist or
You
whatever,
like,
whatever it is to get. It is something
you,
you can fix. That is his premise, which is true.
yeah. Or you put like
So
mints in her food, like you cook, and you put like
I
lifesavers
was
in her
like, yeah, I was like, just give her like a Listerine sandwich or something.
She'd be
But
alright. She'd be alright. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I don't
that
know.
is
That might
tough,
be a deal
man.
breaker. That
That
helps.
is,
That's yeah. I haven't been in that situation. Well, I can't imagine. Yeah, that's tough.
yeah, that is actually an interesting question that I would like to ask people generally. Like, how do you tell your significant other that, okay, they stink?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I stink. Geneva hasn't said anything, and honestly, but have you ever wondered, like sometimes, like you might smell somebody, and you don't tell them because they're not like very close to you. They're just someone you've met or something, or you're talking to quickly, and you're like, they stink, but I didn't say anything to them because it would have been rude. Do I
Yeah,
stink? You start questioning your own self. Like,
yeah,
have
I
I been
question
walking
my,
around here stinking this whole time? And so you try to use context clues. It's like, well, for instance, like I'm married. Like I feel like Geneva would have said something or moved away from.
would she?
Yeah, she tells me that I like she'll tell me I stink when it's like I've worked out or something or
Right.
haven't like it's not like I've just took a shower and I come sit down to her and she's just like, ugh, you just smell generally. Um,
So that's the thing. I mean,
some people just
like
have weird body odor. I don't even think it's like,
stinking.
yeah, it's not, it's not, it's not something they can like fix. It doesn't even mean it smells bad. They just might smell weird
Yeah.
or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, everyone probably to some degree has a way that they smell.
Yeah.
Like, but it doesn't just, there is a threshold that yeah, you're just like, okay. I mean, if like this constant, yeah. Whew.
Yeah. Like I think I smell like if I get stressed and I like sweat, like, but it's like stress sweat. Like I think I smell.
Okay.
Like I and
And
I
you
will
and you can identify
I can kind
that,
of
like,
smell myself. I'm like, ugh, like I have bad BO. I feel like I've had that recently, like this past week. And I
what
can at
was going
least
on?
I think it was just going back to real life was just wildly stressful with like I guess it's just comedy. I guess it might but it's comedy, but it's also just I don't know, we were traveling a lot and like we went to New York. And so
Have you been on vacation or what?
not vacation. Well, I guess this is technically a vacation, but I was just out and about. I was, at open mics and shows, and
Oh yeah, I saw that on Facebook. Like, how is that going, by the way? Like,
it's it's good. It's going well. I went to I had a show in New York, that I think went well. I got a good videotape out of it. Bunch of friends and family. I actually had 10 people come out because I was posting it on Facebook and stuff. And so I performed at the Comic Strip in New York City, which is a club there, like on 81st and 2nd or something like that.
you
And so
should
that
have
went,
a. Oh yeah, I was gonna say you should have a YouTube channel that you can just drop these things when upload them whenever. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah. I have one of my videos online. It's on Vimeo. The only
yeah,
thing
nobody goes on Vimeo. Come
I
on, man.
know,
You
really,
be
the only reason I do that, I might put it on YouTube, but like with some of the jokes that I'm telling, like it's kind of like my A material now that I'm kind of running through. So
okay.
I don't want people to see it, and I do the same stuff on the show. Like right now, like that's kind of like the current stuff I'm doing. So
Okay. Oh yeah, that makes sense then.
Yeah, but this is good because I can send it to bookers and I can be like, hey, this is my most recent tape. This is what I can do. And then people can like book me for shows. And then, but I will say, so on Wednesday, I performed in the Philly's Funniest competition. And it's like, Hannah Trav was talking about it, but this year we've
Mm-hmm.
got like, I don't know, probably 200 plus comics in Philly. They have preliminary rounds and then semifinals and then they have finals. And then we're doing a bunch of preliminary rounds right now and they're all on different nights. So on my night, there were like 11 comics and 3 people advanced. So I advanced and 2 of my like pretty close like comedy friends advanced, which was really the closest the people I was probably closest to who were also performing that night advanced too. So it was a really good night. I had I think a pretty good set. I got it videotaped. I don't have the tape yet, but I'm pretty excited about that. It's like apparently they use like multiple cameras and they're gonna like edit it and all this stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I've never had that happen. Usually it's just one shot. So
Somebody using their cell phone, like.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like an iPhone and just the back of the club. So that's pretty exciting. But yeah, it's been good. It's been going well and I've been getting on shows and um it's been really, really good and it's just me trying to flow with this momentum. But it's also been, how like when good things can happen, but it's also stressful. Like sometimes you
Yeah.
forget like it's not just being stressed about things not going well. Sometimes things going well can just be stressful, not in like a bad way, but it's just a lot going on. So it's like
Yeah, I
um
mean, it's almost like if you have a business and you just have a ton of customers that you can fulfill. That can be stressful.
yeah.
Like you have a ton of clients that you and you can service them. Like that can really be stressful.
Yeah,
Like
it's
you
like
can
you're
say,
happy, of course, intellectually, but just dealing with it, like, it can be overwhelming.
yeah,
So, but it's been good. But I think that coupled with just getting back to normal is stressful because I don't think my body is used to traveling as much, being out as much, driving as much. Like I feel like this past few weeks, I don't know if you've experienced this and maybe not, but because I'm fully vaccinated and things are opening up and blah blah blah, it's that adjustment period of trying to
you've been going to town.
yeah. Well, I mean, like especially with open mics and shows and all this stuff.
So, are you seeing this more as a full-time proposition for you? Like, like is it getting closer and closer? Like, you know what? Maybe I may like pull the trigger and go full-time on this. At least try it out and see what.
I'm just trying to see where it goes. I feel like I'm still pretty new. I mean, I am getting booked on stuff, but it's not to a point where I'm getting paid enough where I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let me just throw my job away.
No, so that is exactly my point. Like you're not getting paid now, but like do you imagine that that is a risk that you can take and say, you know what, if I have enough time, because that's all
Mhm.
you're gonna have, right? Like you're gonna have a
Right.
ton of time to really think about things, to really to be inspired about things, and
Hmm.
maybe more time to even do more shows, so to
Right.
speak,
Yeah.
and hone things and say, okay, like let's see how this goes 6 months, a year. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. Like,
Yeah. No, it's I was actually talking to someone who's a comedian. He's actually was a lawyer, and now he actually became a comedian. Um, Kind of jumped ship like he was a lawyer and a comedian for like 5 years, and then kind of like one day he was in New York. He like left and went to LA and tried to be a comedian, and he was had some mild success here, but he was just kind of telling me like it's just really, really hard to make money as a comic. Like, and so now he has like he still does shows and stuff, and tours and stuff, but he also has like a regular like day job as like a legal recruiter. um so he was, and that was very helpful. I appreciated him being like super transparent. It's everyone's different, but it's hard to make money, and to really sustain yourself as just a straight comedian. But I definitely keep that option open, and for sure. And if it ever gets to the point where, you know, I feel like you said maybe I'm not even making money now, but I see there's an opportunity where I could really like focus and hone in and try to capitalize off of something. I can see myself maybe not leaving, maybe not just doing comedy, but like probably like doing something that's less stressful than my job now, so that I could focus on
Yeah,
comedy more.
I think that is probably the most reasonable thing. Like, if you're able to find something that is just okay, it's a job, it will pay the bills, but gives you a lot less stress and a lot more time to,
Yeah, I can see myself doing that. Like if
yeah,
things get like, you know what? Because there's so many jobs like I might not get paid as much, but if you get paid enough, and you don't have to
that's all
think
that
as much,
matters.
and you can just, especially if you had a 9 to 5 where it's just like
Yeah.
you're off at 5 for sure, you don't
And
work
you
on the
have weekends.
weekends,
Yeah,
it's like, okay, I can, that's definitely more manageable.
absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. And I think that is what, people talking about people getting people to fix their lives. Those are the kind of things that sometimes somebody needs to like spell out someone like, look, you don't, people talk about quitting your job. Quitting doesn't necessarily mean that you don't do anything. It's just a matter
Right.
of imagining what you do
Exactly.
and understanding that, okay, I have the capacity to actually make enough that will pay my bills, but maybe you wouldn't save as much if that is your goal. But at the very least, it's okay to have like a transitioning period, right? Where
Yeah.
the stress of paying your bills, you don't have that, but it will to give you time to maybe pursue a passion. You do have a couple of, and then I mean, yeah, like it's not it's not the weirdest things to think of. But talking about comedians, I had teed up a video that I thought you will find interesting.
Okay.
So this is Andrew Schultz, right?
Oh yeah, he's hilarious.
And yeah, he's
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 so funny.
crazy.
He's
Um,
insane. Yeah.
anyway, so he and Charlemagne were having this discussion about with Steve Harvey about whether or not men can have female friends.
Ah, okay.
So
Bring it back
I'm
to
gonna,
episode 29.
yeah. So I'm gonna play that in a second, and um, just give me a second here. Share. All right. Let me know if you can hear it.
Can you hear?
Okay.
Alex, can you pull it up for him?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Hear it.
Good.
I, he'll be able to hear it.
You just want to share. You just want to tell it to me.
No, because I don't want to misquote him.
Remember in the classic movie when Harry met
Frederica
Sally
Whitfield,
and
you remember her? I'll just leave that.
the character played by Billy Crystal's sister? Men and women can't be friends.
Y'all hear that?
Well,
Yes.
hugely popular syndicated radio and talk show host Steve Harvey. So where did this come from?
I mean,
Because-
it's a blessing, true enough, but really, it was just me sitting down being honest. All of my friends are men. I don't have female friends. I don't. I'm incapable of that.
why? What do you mean?
Well, because
Because you have a wife.
Well, I have a wife, and I don't really have female friends because look. Okay, let's get rid of this myth
I
right
wanna
here.
know why.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you this. Let's get rid of this right here. You're an attractive woman. There are some guys somewhere saying, "Yeah, we're friends." No, that's not true. He's your friend only because you have made it absolutely clear that nothing else is happening except this friendship we have. We remain your friends in hopes that one day there'll be a crack in the door, a chink in the armor, and trust and believe that guy that you think is just your buddy, he will slide in that crack the moment he gets the opportunity. 99.9% of us think.
Yeah.
But he's only talking about
A
attractive
woman and
girls.
just blows her back. No, I have male friends.
Blows her what?
You have male friends because they know it can be nothing else.
Try to give him some pussy.
Okay,
No.
all your male friends, just ask them in a friendly way. If I wanted to date you, would you be okay with that?
That's hilarious. Steve. Oh man, it's just funnier too that Frederica watched. What's her last name? Whitfield. What's
Yeah,
her?
Frederica Whitfield.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
I'm sure you remember why I just brought her up.
Yeah. That is so funny. Oh my gosh. So what did Charlemagne and Andrew Schultz say?
I
Did
mean,
they agree or disagree?
yeah,
Well, they probably went back and forth a little bit, maybe.
yeah. Okay, so let's see what Andrew, Charlemagne and Andrew Schultz. I mean, they are like,
Probably smash.
No,
Yeah.
I-
What do you think, Charlotte?
I love Steve Harvey. That's my guy. I disagree with him. I think that is a very young way of thinking. I think that's a very immature way of thinking. I think that when, I was a child, that was my mindset. You know what I mean? Because, you always heard, oh, you got to be friends before you can be lovers. So, you might befriend some women and in the back of your mind, you're thinking like, I'm going to smash. But I think that even when you get older, and it's not even, now I take that back. Even when I'm younger, it's just women you want to sleep with. And there's some women that you just know y'all cool. Like my whole life, I've had more women friends than guy friends. I like being around women. You know why? Because my dad would always say, why you want to be around a bunch of hard legs? You be around a bunch of guys all the time. All you're going to do is end up getting in trouble. So when that started happening to me, I'm like, oh, my pops is right. And when it comes to just like people gravitating towards you, if you're the guy that's with 5 or 6 women, everybody wants to know what's up with you. Everybody wants to gravitate towards you because you got the women. Even when I used to throw parties and stuff, I want more girls in the party than I do guys. That's why you let ladies in free before 11, or you give ladies 2 drinks for the price of 1. Whatever it is, you do things that have women around. So I've always loved to be around more women.
so I mean, you get
I get his point. Yeah.
you get the
I feel like he was setting it up for Andrew Schultz to say something hilarious.
and Andrew Schultz is gonna say something dumb.
He's like, Charlemagne, get the fuck. Like, no, that's hilarious. No, I definitely agree with Charlemagne. Like in actuality, I was saying, I see. It just depends, man. Like, yes, do men befriend women sometimes because they're hoping in the back of their mind that it turns into something else? Yes, but also there are plenty of examples of just like men being friends with women, and it's just like that's just my friend. Like you know what I mean? Like, but it's hard to. Like I said, I grew up with a bunch of sisters, so like for me, growing up, I knew what it was like to be friends with the opposite sex. And seeing them as more than just objects because I had my sisters. And so it's not that weird for me to just talk to a woman as if she's just another person and not a sexual object. With that said, I also am a man and I am attracted to women. So I also understand, like, men are in some, like, it's hard for a man to just be like, if someone was like, hey, is it cool if we just have sex? A man's gonna be like, nah. Like, like I get that piece of it too.
But what if it is a woman that you're not, into? I think that's Charlemagne's. That's kind of like Charlemagne's point, right? It's he's basically saying, hey, yeah, like if it is someone that you were interested in or you have certain feelings about, that's one thing if they said that. But if it is some woman, like, can you imagine a scenario where a guy would say, a woman would say that to some guy, and the guy would say, actually, nah, like I just want to be friends.
That's a hard thing to imagine, but I think a lot of times this happens, and this is this is one of I won't say who it is, but I have a friend who is just obsessed with women, loves women, but he was trying to holler at a girl in college, and she basically was like, nah, and then they just became really good friends. I think a lot of times what happens is like you may initially be attracted to someone, and if it's just like, you know, if you're put in the friend zone or whatever, but you just realize that the person's really cool, I can totally see that happening too, where, you know, you're just friends and you kind of just accept like it's not like that's the only woman in the world. You know what I mean? Like you kind of just accept that that just is what it is with that particular relationship, and then it actually turns into like a friendship.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly. But to me, there's nothing wrong with that. Where, you know, and I'm sure it's happened to women too, where they will be interested in some guy, it didn't work out, and they're friends. Like
Yeah.
it's not, or even people that had a relationship and then broke it off and they're friends.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
So I don't know.
And
Like
you
I
could
just
be
thought,
unfriends at some point. You could become romantically involved again. I think what we were talking about the last episode, it can just be fluid. Like who knows? Like things, you know, people get attracted or fall out of attraction or whatever. But I think what Charlemagne was saying was like Steve Harvey's thing is kind of immature because it makes it seem like every woman you're trying to talk to, you're just like secretly trying to have sex with. And it's like, yeah, I mean, as you get older, it's like that's not the case with me. I mean, you know, and that doesn't, as Charlemagne is saying, it's not the case with him. It's like, no, I talk to women who I just, that's not my end game. It's just, you know.
yeah, I mean, with me, I actually think I have more female friends than male friends, and there is absolutely no,
Right.
like, you know, no interest or whatever in engaging.
That's how I feel. I've always enjoyed relationships with women, like
I have as well, yeah.
friendships with women, talking to women, joking with women. Like and maybe it's because of just my upbringing and just having a lot of sisters, but I've always enjoyed just like not. I mean, yes, I am attracted to women. I'm a heterosexual man, but I also just really like the energy that I get when I talk to women. Like not in a, you know, like a flirtatious way, just like, I don't know, I just enjoy that vibe. That's probably why we have women guests so often.
That is probably why. Like, I mean, yeah, like I don't know, like even it's I definitely have more. I know more women than men, and it is just what it is. But yeah, but anyway, there was this other clip that I saw. Do you know there's this guy, Dr. Umar, like it went viral on,
Oh yeah, Umar Johnson.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, so yeah, there's this clip that I saw. I mean, I've heard his stuff a bunch of times. I mean, he's controversial, right? And yeah, maybe we'll get canceled after we play this, but we'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he says.
I'm sure you may have seen
Was this on the Breakfast Club?
Yeah, it's on the Breakfast Club.
Okay.
All right. So here we go. He is such a black man. Like, look at
Yeah, for those who can't see this video, he's just black. Very, very black. And he's wearing like a dashiki, I think, or something.
And his face.
His face is just like real black. That face. Yeah.
Face,
like he's about to just tell a black man not to date white women.
All right, here we go.
I have a question, Dr. Umar. Are you totally against interracial relationships?
I am totally against it, and I want to make sure you understand why.
I was just kidding. Oh man, that's hilarious. That's exactly what he said within the first 3 minutes. First three words.
First 3 seconds.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Let's pull that back. So
that's what his face said. His face said, "I bet not see you as a black brother with no white woman, with no white devil."
man, you got to put together so we hear him through.
Oh my God.
You understand why. It's not because cut it out, Andy. Cut it out, Envy.
Don't do that, Envy. I'm having a serious
In fact, we have a
conversation.
name for it.
Because I
We
want.
have a name for it. The
Okay.
Snow Bunny Crisis.
Okay.
I'm against the Snow Bunny Crisis. And I want your white listeners to understand. Because people be trying to say stuff like, he's the Black Hitler. I'm not the Black Hitler. I am in no way interested in hurting or harming the life of any human, white, Asian, Chinese. I believe in respecting everybody.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm against interracial marriage, Envy and Charlemagne, is because marriage is an economic contract. It's an economic contract. Most women do not marry down in status. They marry up. And if you don't believe me, show me a rich white woman married to a broke-ass black man. Have you ever seen a rich white woman marry a broke-ass black man? No, you have not, and you never will. Because marriage ain't about love, it's not colorblind, and it is totally economic. So if marriage is an economic unification and a contract, how can we, who don't have enough already, give so much to the white woman and to white people who have already taken too much when we got all these black women out here who will never get married? Only 1 out of every 4 black women in America will ever taste marriage. And half of them who taste marriage will be divorced within 5 years. If you want to save the black family, if you want to save the black family, you have to protect it. And in order to protect it, you have to be against interracial marriage. You can't say, I love the black family, but I don't have a problem with interracial marriage. Interracial marriage is eliminating the black family because it is not providing our women with enough available and able black men to be their husbands.
So you're
It's not just white. It's not just
All
white
right, I
women.
think that's enough. I think we're already canceled. But yeah, I don't think that's what's destroying the black family. Interracial marriage. I don't know. That's but he says stuff like that all the time. So this is not something that's new from him. But yeah, I look.
What do you think is destroying or disrupting the black family?
I mean, I first of all, aren't there statistics that show that most black men who marry the vast majority of black men marry black women? Like it's just not even close. It's not. It's not like 30% of black men are marrying outside of the race. It's like 5% or something really insignificant. It's just like who cares? I don't know. I can't pinpoint exactly what's the problem with the black family. You know, obviously there are, you know, conditions of oppression and poverty in the criminal justice system and our own internalized self-hate of ourselves, and there's a lot to it. The historical issues in the black family, but interracial dating is not what's destroying the black family or whatever. It's just not happening that often. I mean, we might even be a little more biased in our sample size just because we went to, you know, professional school, so we might see more interracial dating, perhaps. But even then, we knew plenty of people who were not in interracial relationships, who were black people marrying and dating black people, and not that that's what you have to do, but it's just people tend to marry and date who they're around. So black people are still around most black people are still around a lot of black people. And I don't know. My thing is just marry and date who you want to date. You know, I you know, I'm married to a black woman. I've always dated black women. I like black women a lot. I am not only attracted to them, but I also I mean, most of our guests have been black women. So, but you know, if you were dated to a white person or whatever, or if you were, you know, you were dating a white person, just live your life, do what you want to do. I don't know. What do you think about all that?
I mean, yeah, he's so he's inflammatory. He goes on and he says a bunch of stuff. Yeah, like I don't think the answer is not. I mean, I don't think the answer here is to say. It's one thing to say, okay, you know what, there needs to be transfer of wealth to black folks as well. Like, there has to be a deliberate, targeted transfer of wealth or um, building of wealth for black people in America. But saying that you shouldn't marry someone isn't the prescription for that. It's not going to
Yeah.
go far
How could
because
you even enforce that?
yeah. So even if you could, so let's even assume you could enforce it.
Right.
If the statistics are saying is a ridiculous low number of folks that would do that, like the question is even for the current state of if you look at black folks that are married to each other, do they have the kind of wealth that they should have? No. So
Hmm.
it's obvious that that is not just the issue. The fact that you are marrying another black person is not going to fix whatever you think the problem is with that. So it has
Yeah.
to go beyond that. And I think that is the part that he's missing. I think he's like, Pan African, pro
Right.
black. So everything he talks about, black people only have to marry other black people that you not only have to be physically black, you also have to be psychologically black. So it is two-step process.
Two-step process. So you can't marry Ben Carson. Like that
No,
doesn't count.
that doesn't count.
Even though he's married to a black woman, but like in his mind, that's an interracial marriage of some sort. It's psychologically interracial.
Yeah, so you have to be physically black and
Physically
psychologically.
black and psychologically black. Oh my gosh! Well, he's entertaining. I can listen to him, and I don't agree with most of what he says, but I think he can be entertaining to listen to. That Umar Johnson and the memes around him are funny. But yeah, I just marry who you or date. Life's short, and if you want to.
If you want to engage in this nobody crisis,
Yeah. If you want to engage in the snow bunny crisis or whatever crisis, or it's a non-black person, do what you got to do. I just also think it's such a myth that that's a crisis, though. You know what I mean? Like it's just that's not like, oh my god, only black men only date white women. Like that's not true. I know.
the
So like
funny, the funny thing is he actually also knows it, right? Like,
yeah.
and
Charlemagne's married to a black woman. I don't know who DJ Envy's married to, but like he's literally talking to someone married to a black woman, a black man married to a black woman.
yeah, so even Umar Johnson, I
He's
think
got
he
like
just
a white wife. I could totally see him with a white wife. Oh
would
my
have been the
gosh.
most scandalous thing if
Like
you
it's like a
find out
redheaded, like freckled faced white
he's
woman.
not.
I
He
bet.
said he's not married. Like, he's not. I don't think he's married. I mean, that would have come out, right? Like if he was married to a white.
Oh my gosh. I
Like,
hope that happens because the memes on that would be amazing.
like I want that had to happen actually. Like, can you imagine
Yes.
if it was actually clocking like a white? Like, he's gonna figure out like an exception for that. Like it's okay to clock a white. Like you have.
I feel like he is. I honestly, you know how like people who are like homophobic or secretly gay, like I feel like people who are like, I can see him totally like, being attracted to white women, and it's because I don't know, helps him sell books, or he's for whatever reason insecure about it. He like overcompensates through these ridiculous speeches. But yeah, I know someone who's very against interracial uh, dating. I won't say the person's name, but do you know who I'm talking about?
I can't.
They went to our school.
Oh yes,
You know what I'm
yes.
talking
Yes,
about?
I know
Yeah,
what you're talking about.
yeah.
But I guarantee 100%. Like if you know, I don't see that person also dating the person of his same race. So, but I can guarantee you, if someone of a different race, a woman of a or or guy of a different race, approach this person, they wouldn't say no.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't say no. They wouldn't say no if they were attracted. I mean, look, you know, it live your life, do what you got to do.
Whatever.
You know, live it. But yeah, that's wild.
Final topic, because this is before we bounce. So I saw the way we were talking some time ago about cancel culture and how there is all this language around what you can say and what you can't say. How how we're like, even Latino people don't care whether you say Latinx or not. Like,
Right.
like if you ask, like, nobody, did anybody ask Latino folks, like, hey, do you want to be called Latin? There's another, anyway, there is one that I saw, which is this conversation that was around. Now you cannot say homeless person; you have to say unhoused.
Wow. We're laughing, but we'll probably get canceled for this like in 5 years because we were like,
I
"What
don't
the
care.
fuck?" Yeah, no, I
If
think
I'm
that's
gonna get canceled,
ridiculous.
I can get canceled. Like,
Unhoused.
that
What
is
does that even?
absolutely that is absolutely ridiculous. Like, first of all,
An
like
unhoused
the
person.
last the,
Oh my gosh.
the last issue that a homeless person has is whether you call them homeless or. Are you freaking kidding me?
That's yeah. What?
First
That
of
is
all,
even.
yeah, there isn't really instances that I know of where homeless is really being used as a pejorative that way, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
No, it's usually
like
like help the homeless or
yeah, like, so
advocate for the homeless.
if you even if like, when I just saw it, I was like, okay, this is. I mean, maybe. I mean, it was a conversation that people were having. I hadn't heard of it until then. So, but I'm like, if this is true, which it seemed like it was true,
Yeah.
it is true. Like, some people are like, oh, now we don't say homeless anymore, we say unhoused. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, you got me. That's unhoused. So what about people who don't live in a house, who live in an apartment? Is that person unhoused? Like, it doesn't, you're discriminating against apartment dwellers and condo dwellers and people who live in tents. And I don't know. I mean, that sounds ridiculous. But yeah, I highly doubt that homeless people are like, whoa,
Can
don't
you
call me
imagine
homeless.
if you polled homeless folks and you'd be like, okay, of all the problems that you have, like, you list it, and
Yeah.
on being called homeless, or would you rather be called unhoused? Like,
Unhoused. I don't even
zero.
like the way that sounds.
It doesn't
People
even
want to
sound
help
right.
the homeless. The unhoused? That just sounds the unhoused. That doesn't even sound right. I'm gonna advocate for the unhoused. Huh? Is that supposed to I don't know. But yeah, I'm sure people will try to pull that one too and make that a thing. I don't know. I mean, I think the real issue is just people are whether they're unhoused or homeless. It's a problem, right? That people don't have a place to live. Is that politically correct enough?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, the question is, rather than you spending time talking about terminology, like, go and figure out how to actually fix the issue. So we don't even use the word anymore. Like, that's
Exactly. Yeah, that would be ideal if there was no one who didn't have a house or a home or like everyone. We don't even have to think about it because that's not an issue anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, that's utterly ridiculous. I'm gonna Google that and just look into that. How's the unhoused? I mean, that kind of has a ring to it. But yeah, I mean, it's a problem either way, whether you call them But the thing is, like, usually with words, there's
mean,
something like you were saying, like that's derogatory or something, or like,
Okay,
like
let me show you. Yeah, it's funny. I never actually Googled or did whatever, but take a look at this. Um, so I went to, there is actually a website, unhoused.org. The label of homeless has derogatory connotations. It implies that one is less than, and it undermines self-esteem and progressive change. the use of the term unhoused instead has profound personal impact upon those in insecure housing situations. It implies that there is a moral and social assumption that everyone should be housed in the first place, as opposed to everyone should have a home in the first place. This is ridiculous, man.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, you could argue that unhoused is people feel that they're less than too, because you either way
I
you don't
know.
have a house. Like, what the
I know.
fuck? Like, what are you talking about? That's still. I mean, I mean, obviously, if someone has a bunch of time on their hands, sure. If they hired me to make this argument as their lawyer, I could make the ridiculous argument that homeless has a negative connotation because blah blah blah. Unhoused, like, of course, I could make that argument, but it's just why? And is that helping anybody? I don't know. I'll probably get canceled. Like, the unhoused. Yeah, labels are a little ridiculous. You know, people. I don't know.
I mean, I want to be open-minded about it. Maybe it's true. I mean, so, and that's the other part. Like, I don't want to dismiss it because you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, because it might become a thing.
not even that. Because
No,
it
I
might
know,
become
I
a
know.
thing.
Yeah, it could.
Like,
It's possible that. Yeah, okay,
if you-
maybe we are using homelessness in a way that's derogatory.
Yeah, so maybe we have blind spots. I'm totally so. I mean, that's the other part. Like maybe I want to be open-minded to that, but it just seems to me that that is not the
The issue.
problem.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a question of vocabulary.
Like,
I
like
wish
it-
that was the issue. It's like, oh, you just got to find another word, and then this
Yeah.
shit goes away. That's cool.
Yeah,
What about
like,
unhoused? What
it's-
about not homed? No housed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Unhomed.
I mean, we talk about labels for people, right? The closest we can think of is the N word,
Right.
and that is clearly,
Right.
you know,
Obviously.
yeah. So that's a perspective that I kind of bring, and I'm thinking, okay, if you think about the N word, okay, that is one thing, but is homeless on that level, and it doesn't have to be on that level for it to be a terrible thing to say, right?
Right.
So
I don't know if it's a terrible thing to say, but I know what you mean. But
yeah,
I think my thing is like, you know, saying someone's homeless, saying that has negative connotations. It's like, well, it has negative connotations because it's a negative situation for someone to be in. You know what I like? It doesn't mean that we. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, yes,
Yeah.
like you explain like, oh, you know, someone is you know, someone has cancer. Oh, that has negative connotations. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, yes, it does, but that doesn't mean we have to change the vocabulary. We just try to find a cure for cancer. But I think with unhoused, what they're trying to get at is when you say unhoused, you know, that means that that I see what they're saying. Like there is a social responsibility, right? Like versus homeless. Where it's like, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like I can see the subtle difference. But
So-
if we start calling everybody unhoused, that's gonna have negative connotations again. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that, you know, the person is unhoused. That shit sucks. But I guess it's basically the unhoused kind of puts like a responsibility on us almost to house them. I don't understand why.
Do we have that same responsibility
Homeless
for
doesn't.
unemployed? Do we have that same responsibility for unemployed people?
That's a good question. Unemployed. Yeah, I feel like there is some type of like a. I feel like calling someone unemployed versus jobless. I guess okay. The difference would be unemployed versus jobless. Which one sounds worse? Which one?
Yeah,
Jobless.
jobless sounds worse.
Jobless sounds worse, right? You're
Yeah.
jobless.
Yeah,
But it's also a
So-
little ambiguous too. It's like, well, did you choose not to have a job? Like, what does that mean? Like, did you choose not to have one? Can't. I don't know. These are all problems, but it's not the vocabulary. You know what I mean? But jobless, I guess, does sound worse than unemployed. It's like we
So,
gotta. We
I
have
think-
unemployed.
I think that goes the answer. So on house it is moving forward.
Unhoused versus homeless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jobless versus unemployed. Yeah, I'd actually rather be jobless because jobless sounds kind of like I just don't have a job, but I'm fine. It almost sounds like you chose not to have a job. Like a fuck a job. I'm not trying to get employed. Oh man, I have a comedian friend who has a good joke talking about how she hates how like politicians are always like, they're gonna bring back jobs. She's like, fuck jobs. I don't want a job. Give me a politician that's gonna take away our jobs. I don't want like it's just like, oh man. But we're obsessed with
Jobs are
people just
overrated.
jobbing, employed for no goddamn reason, and ugh, there's so many bullshit jobs that people do just so we can say people are employed, but then we don't even give people living wages, and you know that's a topic for another day. I could go into that forever, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So unhoused it is.
Yeah, unhoused it is. Moving forward, no more talk about homelessness or homeless, unhoused.
From now
So,
on, it's unhoused. All
yeah.
right. All right.
Well,
Sounds good. Well, yeah. I guess that's
on
the end of.
that, that's it. On that note, I hope you get a house. You stay housed. So,
Stay housed, so you're not unhoused.
yeah, the end of the
Cool.
show. Any last words?
Nah, just y'all be aight.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
All right.